We are a Korean couple living in Germany, and my name is Yeber. Today is April 11th. We are heading to Keukenhof in the Netherlands. It's only about 3 hours from where we live, much closer than from Korea. So we drove happily. As soon as we arrived near Keukenhof, I couldn't stop saying wow, wow in Korean. I knew the Netherlands was famous for tulips and that Keukenhof was a huge tulip garden. But even before we entered, the area was already beautiful. This is just around the parking lot and we could already see flowers everywhere. What a sight. By the way, Keukenhof has a huge parking area. You don't have to worry about parking. Before coming here, we were a little worried about finding parking, but it turned out there was absolutely nothing to worry about. I had heard that Keukenhof is less crowded before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. But honestly, even around 4 p.m., it was still quite busy. We reserved our ticket online because it was cheaper that way. The parking ticket was cheaper too. See, even though it was around 4 p.m. when we entered, there was still a lot of people. There was a mini map available for visitors, and of course, it was free. Whenever we visit a tourist spot, we like to check out the souvenir shop first. It gives us an idea of what's popular in the area. As we expected, there were lots of tulip bulbs. I've never seen this many tulip bulbs in my life. And lots of Miffys. I love those, so even though I knew I'd have to carry it, I couldn't resist buying one. The farmer's wife. The farmer's wife and the tulips. This was such a great photo spot. The tulips in Keukenhof were really beautiful. However, since the flower beds were fenced off, it was hard to get a good photo with the tulips. But it still felt great just walking around. Every area had a slightly different atmosphere. Birds were chirping, the sunlight was warm, and some people were even having picnics in the garden. I tried really hard to find a good photo spot, but didn't succeed. Still, the tulips were lovely on their own. We walked toward the music and saw a crowd gathering. There were a few restaurants, but they were expensive, so we shared one waffle. It was around 7 euros. We were too busy eating to feel it. Next time, we'll bring a lunchbox. Some kids were dancing to the music. They were adorable. Some of the paths felt like walking through a forest. My husband and I tried to find our favorite tulips, but some hadn't bloomed yet.
저긴 어디지?
Most of the flowers were tulip, but not all, like these ones. We really liked the sound of the water nearby. There were a lot of tulips, but lavenders too. That's I think. Since tulips don't have a scent, I guess these lavenders were the ones spreading fragrance through the garden. This smelled good, really. This felt like the center of Keukenhof. But as you can see, about half of the tulips weren't fully open yet. We guessed it would look even better in about a week, around April 19th. It was a little sad to see so many still closed. But it made us more thankful for the ones that had already bloomed.
아니다 여기도.
Like these ones. These parts made us sad. Wherever tulips were fully open, people gathered. That made it easier to find good photo spots. Like this place. My husband really tried hard to get this photo for me. It was around 5 p.m. It was much more peaceful near the pond compared to the entrance. I think many people had already left by then. We thought the breeze would make a great photo spot, but it wasn't. There were many tulips inside the garden as well, and a lot of them had bloomed. They looked quite unique. We couldn't help buying some ice cream inside the garden. We enjoyed it, even though it was expensive. Around 6 p.m., we had about an hour left before closing. Keukenhof officially closes at 7 p.m., so here I am insisting we go to the windmill area first. Thankfully, my husband agreed and quickly checked out the nearby tulips. This one, hot chocolate, really looked like hot chocolate. Yeah, this one. But just as we came out of the still house, I saw Miffy. I'd been looking forward to visiting Miffy's house in Keukenhof. My husband doesn't know much about Miffy. He even asked me what's the difference between Miffy and Hello Kitty. Oh. So even though I insisted on the windmill area, we ended up going to Miffy's house first. Well, it was close anyway. The place was packed. Everyone loves Miffy. Oh, she's totally adorable. I didn't buy any of the big dolls since I already got the farmer's wife doll at the entrance. It was around 25 euros. They had more Miffys here, but not the farmer's wife version. So I was happy. One woman even asked the cashier where to find the same Miffy after seeing mine. Now, finally, the windmill area. We took hundreds of photos here. Tulips plus windmill. So Dutch. After that, it was around 7 p.m., but thankfully no one kicked us out, so we could enjoy more tulips on the way back to the entrance. These were near entrance too, I think. There were very few people left. Maybe that's why the tulips looked even more beautiful. I didn't want to say goodbye. You see, I already want to go back. I'll definitely visit Keukenhof again next year. We stepped across the stones on the lake. I felt like a frog. It was already 7:30 when we left. Our check-in closed at 8, so we had to rush. After that, we planned to catch the Illuminated Flower Parade. On the Noordwijk Flower Parade website, there was a map for Illuminated Flower Parade, but we couldn't find the exact location on Google Maps, so we headed toward the Brink parking lot. But on the way, we saw people parking on the side of the road, so we did the same and followed the crowd. It was around 8:30 and people were already waiting. We were really lucky. I think we were at the starting point of the parade since it began right at 9 p.m. Volunteers were selling truffles. So Dutch. And this was the first band. And finally, the flower float appeared. It was about 9:20. I heard each float has a specific theme, so so it was really fun to watch every one of them. I think this was like wild tulips or something. By the way, this float was my favorite. The flower rocket actually moved, and the astronauts were cute. It was the most beautiful and interesting rocket I've ever seen. The details were amazing. It didn't shoot fire. It blew up bubbles, making it feel more magical. When this flower float passed by, people started dancing to the music. Oh, and every time a float passed, we could smell the flowers. It was wonderful. I love the flower fairy vibes. They will appear. Yes, here. I think this float was representing the ocean and marine. I'm not totally sure, but the sailors on it looked like teenagers. They were so cute. Between almost every float, some flower decorated cars or truck passed them by. There were a lot of bands too. This was the second band. This flower float reminded me of my favorite Disney princess, the Little Mermaid. But she was not it. Instead, it featured her father and lots of sea creatures. The moving fish and the giant clam on the back that opened and closed were most fascinating parts. And then another flower decorated tractor passed. This flower float was so much fun. It didn't show regular fruit. They were bodybuilder fruits. All the fruit were flexing muscles and the performers wore muscle costumes too. They're striking, fun poses. It was hilarious. I liked their music too.
이거 바나나 보트인가 보다.
And then this float represented Thailand. It featured Thai music, royal symbols, and Thai flags. Since Thailand is a familiar country to us, it's an Asian country, it felt really heartwarming to see it here. A Thailand-themed float at Dutch Flower Parade? How cool is that? My husband said he wants to eat Thai food tomorrow. This was the third band. I loved all the bands. This float was all about constructions, tools, helmets, and more. Who knew construction equipment could be so beautiful? Probably the prettiest and most fragrant construction tools in the world. The performers also made various props to match the theme. So fun to watch! This truck was really interesting, by the way. This bus has people inside singing. They all looked very happy. This flower float showed cartoon characters from Harlem. Since we're Korean, we didn't know any of them. But the actors were really great. It was fun to watch, even without knowing the characters. I think they have been practicing a lot for this action. This one was called the Brazilian Carnival float. It was totally like Brazil, even though I've never been there. The music, the birds, and the dancers. They were their highlights. Now the fourth band. They had some charisma. To be honest, I'm not really into birds, but these flower birds were beautiful. The peacock was stunning, and the owl shooting lasers from its eyes was unforgettable. He will appear. Apparently, it lights up at night. When we saw it again during the daytime parade, it didn't feel quite as impressive. Here, the owl. As soon as this float appeared, all the little boys around us got super excited. Of course, lions are kids' favorite animal, but the others seemed more excited for what came next. You'll have to wait for it. Okay, this is it. The adults and my husband's favorite, the sports car. It didn't have many flowers though. This was the last float we filmed, the China flower float. Too bad there wasn't a Korean one. But still, we're familiar with Chinese culture too, so it was fun to watch. Red, snakes, lanterns, pandas. I'm used to pandas and I love them, but I've never seen one this skinny.
누가 푸바오를 저렇게 만들어놨나? 푸바오? 중국인들은 중국 보면 맞겠다 야.
So Keukenhof and the Illuminated Flower Parade. That was our first day in the Netherlands. Tomorrow we'll off to see more tulips and the main flower parade. Doei! Bye!